It was a party like no other. Extravagant beyond belief. The food was so beautiful you'd feel bad to even just touch it. The drinks were flowing and the music was bopping and everyone who was someone was there. And I was too. Well, as a waiter, that is. Hi, I'm Flynn. I work parties and events so I can pay for college. But that one party was the most ridiculous party I'd ever worked at. And it's the one that changed my life. It was parfaits. Little tiny bowls of parfait neatly arranged on a tray, and I was carrying them to the group of celebrities that asked for them specifically. Until I dropped everything I was carrying onto some pretty girl who was wearing a ball gown. The gown was white, and now it was stained with strawberry jam, and her whole dress was covered in bits of Swiss roll and cream. The whole table gasped. Cameras flashed. My boss appeared out of nowhere, pulling his hair out in panic and yelling, "What have you done, you stupid boy? You've ruined the princess's dress!" Princess? I deeply apologize, Your Royal Highness. I will happily replace the dress. And you are fired. You dumb, useless boy! That's quite enough. The princess looked me up and down, and when she got to my face, her jaw dropped. Then she smirked a little. You know what? Actually, you are fired. That'll teach you not to raise your voice in the presence of royalty. You Neanderthal. And from now on, this boy is working for me. Beg your pardon, Your Royal Highness, but... What? Don't look so surprised. Come, be my arm candy. The princess hooked her arm onto mine, and she spent the night in my company. Everyone was so curious as to who I was, and when asked, the princess would just tell them I was her husband, which baffled absolutely everyone, because nobody had heard any news that the royal family had a wedding. Just smile and nod. You're my lucky charm for tonight. I can't pretend to be your husband, Your Highness. Isn't that like a crime, maybe? Or something? Who cares? There. That's what I'm paying you for. So, just smile and come along for the ride. You any good at poker? I've never played, ma'am. Would my husband call me ma'am? Sorry, I've never played poker. Well then, take a seat and Samara here will deal you in. 1, 2, 3 games of poker went by, and I kept winning. A couple people had to get up from the table, tired of the losing streak. The princess looked up at me and smiled. Never played poker, have you? I was bluffing. Well played. GG's. But now, I punish you for lying to a princess. Alexandra decimated me. All the chips I won, I lost in a mere 2 games. When you're born to not show your real emotion to the public, I guess that makes you an amazing poker player. Problem was, I now owe her $1 million. And some change. You have a choice. Get jailed for gambling without a means to pay, or play truth or dare with me. Are you kidding? Truth or dare? I warn you, if I wuss out, I'll pay you $1 million. But if you wuss out, then you owe me a further $1 million. It was a gamble, and I shouldn't have taken it. But the alternative was spending time in jail. So I took the bait. Alexandra and I played truth or dare the whole night. I was smart enough to keep choosing truth. I figured there was no secret I'd be too ashamed to share with the princess. After all, Dares were way more scary to leave to chance. I learned a lot about the princess. With every question, she felt more real. And I began to like her. She began to feel the same. I learned she had a horse named Alecto, and that horse was her only real friend. She felt constricted because she was born into a family that wasn't ordinary. And all she's ever wanted was to live a normal life and not be in the public eye all the time. It was pretty late in the night, and the princess and I had made our way into the palace's gardens. We were alone, and then she turned to me and said something I wouldn't soon forget. "I'm tired of all these truths. Let's do some dares. I dare you to be my master for a week." I had her repeat it thrice, but I had no millions to pay her with. So, I took the dare. I lived in the palace from that day on. The princess gave me a room as big as my parents' house. In the mornings, she would wake me with a tray of breakfast in bed. She would lay out my clothes, and then she'd guide me down the grand staircase to start my day. She would drive me and drop me off at school in her Porsche. Every person there turned their heads and gathered around Alexandra. She would give me a packed lunch that she herself cooked, and then she would bow before driving off. And now the question on everyone's lips was, who the heck was I that the princess was serving me like a god? Alexandra slept in the servants' room right next to mine. At first, it was so awkward. I could hardly bring myself to ask Alexandra what time it was. I had to fight the urge to serve her and not the other way around. But then, she made me command her, taught me how to be confident and assertive. She made me feel like a king. And honestly, it was really easy to get used to. "Lex, get me some lemonade with honey and a burger." "Right away, master." "Lex, go do all my laundry." "It will be done, master." "Get me an RTX 4090. "It's already on its way, master." And then, I realized I could do some real good with my new power. I had only 3 days left in the week the princess wanted. And so, I asked her to convince the king to make tipping mandatory. I made her raise the wages for all waiters and workers in the hospitality industry. And then, I remembered that there was a bird sanctuary near where I lived that was about to get bulldozed to make way for a condo complex. I made the princess shut that project down and save the birds. And then, on the very last day of the princess being my servant, I made her open the palace to the public. The royals and the nobles dressed up as elves, and the king was Santa Claus. There must have been at least 10 huge trucks filled with presents. Every kid in every town was given the chance to go into the palace and meet Santa and wish for a Christmas present. There were consoles and PCs and dollhouses and remote-controlled cars and drones. Every toy you could dream of. Each kid went in there all smiles, and they left more excited than they have ever been. The funniest part was that I found my old boss lining up with the kids. "Please, Flynn, I lost my job." "You're not a kid. What are you even gonna wish for?"
Police Station 5?
That makes no sense. Guards! The royal family enjoyed the day so much, and they got to make so many kids happy that the king declared it a new tradition.
"Today has been a great success. Thanks to my beloved daughter's friend, Flynn, I hereby declare that every year the palace would open to the public and give away gifts."
And then, the 7 days of being the princess's master ended. Alexandra and I shook hands. She transferred the money into my account, and then she thanked me for the fun she had.
"You passed the test."
Sorry, What? What test?
Given ultimate power, most men get consumed. They do selfish things, ask for riches and things that only benefit them. At first, I thought you would do the same. But of all the things you asked for, you made sure to do things that benefited others more than yourself. You did not ask for 1 cent of my family's money. And so, I truly believe you deserve the prize you won. And there's something else you deserve as well.
Alexandra made the announcement of our engagement. The royal family celebrated, and the people roared and cheered. My story was like a fairy tale in reverse. A common guy who had a humble job, marrying into the richest, most powerful family in the land. The country called me the People's Prince. Little boys and girls waved at me in the street. My face was on every newspaper and magazine. Social media was abuzz with our royal wedding. And it was only at the altar, when I was saying my vows, that I fully realized that meant I was gonna be the future king. Millions of people tuned in to our wedding, and the streets were lined with well-wishers carrying bundles of flowers. They waved and cheered as the wedding bells rang, and we emerged from the church. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would marry a real-life princess. From pretend husband, I became Alexandra's actual husband. I kissed her in front of the crowd, and they roared with cheers. As we got into our carriage made of gold, I saw a familiar face. My old boss stood there, crying, dressed in rags and waving at us. I took pity on him. I waved back and made one of our assistants hand him some money so we could start over. And I'm sure he will treat his workers better from that day forward.
Please don't forget to share this podcast on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and so on. Thanks for your support. Check out our YouTube channel by clicking the link in this episode description. And also, kindly please rate and review this podcast. Bye.